Breaking news, the NASDAQ is now requiring that BlackRock allowed for in-kind redemptions on their Bitcoin spot ETFs. This comes literal months after BlackRock and Coinbase reestablished their custody agreement and literally days after the SAB 121 is repealed, allowing for banks to custody your Bitcoin. Does this mean that the paper attacks against Bitcoin are now over? And should we actually trust Coinbase and BlackRock? Whoa, whoa, whoa. Let's slow the roll there. Let's not necessarily trust all these guys right away, but I think that this is absolutely massive. So, what is an in-kind redemption? Let's go over that first because this is very unique and is really only talked about in the Bitcoin, potentially the gold space as well, where an in-kind redemption is, hey, you don't, or you invest Bitcoin, you can get Bitcoin out. And then a cash out redemption is exactly what it sounds like. You put in cash, and if you want cash out, you will get cash out. So I think it's interesting that these in-kind redemption models is seen as more efficient option for the BlackRock spot ETF and, quote, should have been allowed from the get-go. Now, why is it happening right now? I think that this timing is extremely peculiar because, it happened on a Sunday while everybody was just chilling, having a good time, enjoying the start of February here. But now we're having the in-kind redemptions limited to these authorized participants. So these to allow for the trust Bitcoins as per Jan 24th filing there. And what is unique about this, right? It's Coinbase is now the custodian for 8 of the 11 Bitcoin spot ETFs, where, maybe 1 or 2 has publicly disclosed their actual address, but majority have not. So we've all from the Bitcoin space been screaming from the rooftops, give us transparency when it comes to these Bitcoin ETFs. And now it seems like they might be forced to do that because of these in-kind redemptions. If you donate Bitcoin and you actually want your Bitcoin out, you can go to BlackRock, Bitwise, wherever, and say, hey, I would like my Bitcoin out. Now, with that, Coinbase is the main custodian for all of this. So now, because Coinbase is the custodian, they're going to have to be making sure that they have all these Bitcoin, right? So it's interesting that we've seen Coinbase recently create through wrapped Bitcoin, and we'll get into all that here in a minute. But we've seen Coinbase create wrapped Bitcoin. We've seen BlackRock then amend their custody agreement between the two of them. And now we're seeing that NASDAQ is allowing for in-kind redemptions for BlackRock's spot ETF. So this iShares spot ETF will allow institutional investors to redeem their shares directly for Bitcoin instead of cash. Now, this innovative model aims to streamline operations, cut costs, and reduce market impact, marking a significant step forward in Bitcoin ETFs. Now, with that, what is the benefit of allowing in-kind redemptions? Well, it improves tax efficiency, allows funds to meet large redemptions without selling their holdings, and facilitates the ETF creation redemption mechanism. So it just makes it easier on these ETFs. Now, why do we want to make it easier on the big guys here? Why do we want to make it easier on them? Well, there has been a lot of questions surrounding BlackRock and surrounding, Coinbase. Coinbase was actually at some point in time here in the recent past, there was rumors as Coinbase issuing paper Bitcoin to BlackRock and other ETFs. Now, why would people be questioning that? Coinbase says absolutely not, but that hasn't stopped the loudest critics from continuing to push the narrative. So they're calling us paranoid Bitcoin investors here because, hey, we just want transparency. That's all that Bitcoiners really want with all of this. Transparency of where the Bitcoin is being held, transparency to verify, not trust. That's one of the biggest Bitcoin ethos. So why are we paranoid here? Because we are increasingly convinced about the dealings of Coinbase, the biggest crypto exchange in America, and BlackRock, the largest asset manager in the world. But hey, Brian Armstrong has basically been saying from this whole time, hey, trust me, bro. Trust me with all of this. It's perfectly fine that, hey, we're seeing things like the Bitcoin spot ETF and other things. We're not going to confirm where these wallets are, but just trust us. Trust us with all this, right? I mean, it's absolutely insane that we're seeing all this, especially when we're seeing the potential of BlackRock talking about a hard fork here. So the Bitcoin network, is obviously, there's been plenty of hard forks attempted. And now these Bitcoin conspiracy theorists have been essentially worrying about this because of the recent video that BlackRock released not too long ago.
We've all heard about Bitcoin.
About the bit
What
by
exactly
bit,
is
right?
Bitcoin?
And we reviewed this
Let's start at the
video
beginning,
here not too
around
long ago.
100,000 years ago. Throughout history, we've used all kinds of objects to help make transactions and store value. From seashells to shiny metals to paper notes. That's because the value isn't just in the object itself, it's in how much we agree potential benefits.
So now we're talking about what
Bitcoin exchanges happen.
So here is where the Bitcoiners really, here's where the Bitcoiners really raise the flags here, right? Is this very screenshot right here where it says, there is no guarantee that Bitcoin's 21 million supply cap is fixed. Now, we are just paranoid Bitcoiners here because BlackRock would never attempt to do a hard fork, or would they? Right? I mean, this is the question that we have to start asking. We need to start demanding transparency from these custodians, because in the event of a Bitcoin hard fork, say BlackRock then decides that, hey, this is going to be a hard fork, we are going to issue wrapped Bitcoin, or we are going to issue some sort of other Bitcoin Cash even, which now has less market cap than poop coin and fart coin. So look at that one. The hard forks have always failed, but BlackRock having the control of all of this, they could try to issue that with, the in-kind now issuance. But there's been many out there that say, hey, Brandon, slow your roll here. Quit getting all these conspiracies going here on this Monday morning as we're coming to you live here with over 100 of you in this chat, both live on Twitter and Instagram. Excuse me, Twitter and YouTube, not Instagram. But these NASDAQ in-kind Bitcoin redemptions could be good for a BlackRock ETF, where here's where I'll argue that point is, I would say, correct, where it's good for the ETF products, because they are forcing now these ETFs to actually be holding these Bitcoin. Now, is it good for Bitcoin in general? No, I don't think so. I still truly believe in self-custody, but I think it is good for these Bitcoin ETFs because NASDAQ proposes this rule change. And, there's been ETF experts that have come out and said this should have happened from the beginning. This proposal aligns with the Trump administration's pro-crypto stance. Now, would this have happened without President Trump being elected? They're already tying these two things together. Anything that happens positive to Bitcoin these days, they're saying, hey, it's because of Trump. But, would this have happened without him? I'm not quite sure. But we're also seeing 8 of the 11 Bitcoin ETFs being custodied by Coinbase. So this is happening with BlackRock. BlackRock got theirs passed first, and now we're going to have the others potentially start to come and be allowed to do these in-kind now exchanges as well. And so these experts believe this rule change could have a significant impact on the crypto industry by reducing selling pressure during redemptions. Now, I think that is also something that can be of note. right? You won't necessarily need to sell. Maybe that avoids some sort of capital gains issuance because you'll just have the physical Bitcoin instead of actually having the cash from it. So you won't have that capital gains. There's a lot of different aspects of this, right? So I think that this is something that will be positive here going forward. And let's break it down here. These income redemption models are seemed as more efficient and, quote, should have been allowed from the get-go here. But let's go back to what we were talking about a little bit earlier here, where Coinbase and BlackRock, the biggest and largest asset holder on the planet and the world's largest crypto exchange. It cringes me to say that for you here, folks. I don't want to be saying the word crypto, but hey, we are where we are right now in this cycle, and we are where we are in this. But they amended their custody agreement to require 12-hour withdrawals amidst debt rumors. Now, this is where I think it's very interesting because last cycle, what did we see, folks? For those of you who are around last cycle, you remember FTX, you remember Celsius, you remember BlockFi, you remember all of these bad actors issuing paper Bitcoin. And in my opinion, severely suppressing that Bitcoin price. Now we had the likes of Plan B and the stock to flow and all these different models. Look, I don't agree with any of the models, especially don't agree with that power law here. And that's down a different rabbit hole. And, maybe we'll get the big red candles in the chat or commenting there about how I'm dumb about these power law models with Spaghetti Boy, who's been referenced in a few of the podcasts. So those here know for sure. But we're not talking about Spaghetti Boy right now. We're talking about BlackRock and Coinbase, right? So Coinbase has had these debt rumors floating around, right? They've been having a bunch of different, rumors. Hey, is Coinbase the biggest point of failure for the potential of paper attacks on Bitcoin now, right? So with this potential attack on Bitcoin being Coinbase the biggest because 8 of the 12 ETFs have Bitcoin, we've seen a bunch of these different inflows and outflows on the daily, right? We've seen GBTC nearly be wiped because of the massive amounts of fees, but we're seeing IBIT massive. See, look at amidst this news, look at how many people are now flowing into the IBIT ETF and actually outflowing some of the other ones. I think that is very interesting where investors are now looking at this as a positive, right? They're looking at this and saying, hey, I like the fact that I can have these in-kind flows into the IBET ETF. Now, this might be a little misleading because the IBET ETF was the biggest prior to this news, but seeing this giant inflow, in fact, the only ETF that saw an inflow on January 28th amongst this news is very positive, right? And so as my man in the chat Down Under Blues is saying, hey, Brandon, slow your roll. And I agree, right? It's not necessarily that these guys are good players, right? We're seeing the wrapped Bitcoin price, right? We're seeing things like the whatchamacallit, like Brian Armstrong, the Baldy that we have, that my man Skip and down the road saying Baldy locks. Is he issuing paper Bitcoin? Potentially. I mean, look at this. He's issuing these wrapped Bitcoin. It's following the Bitcoin price, but why are they issuing wrapped BTC? Why not just the physical BTC here? It's really leaves for some questions as to what is going on there, right? So we've had a bunch of different articles be published and saying, hey, BlackRock's secret Bitcoin deals. Coinbase CEO defends against off-chain settlement rumors. Now, why are they having things off-chain, right? I mean, hey, everybody's in the chat saying, slow your roll here. Don't necessarily be all in on these conspiracy theories. Let's take a listen to or let's look at, the facts here, right? We've got Brian Armstrong Coinbase, 8 of the 11 Bitcoin spot ETFs of the United States. They're the custodians. We've got BlackRock releasing videos saying, even Michael Saylor is out there reposting this video where it's saying there is no guarantee on that 21 million fixed supply. There is no guarantee on that. BlackRock is in saying the quiet parts out loud, folks. They are hinting at the possibility of a hard fork. So why all of a sudden do we need to trust these guys? Why all of a sudden should this be a potential, right? Why are Bitcoiners being called, quote, paranoid for being increasingly convinced that the dealings between Coinbase, the largest crypto exchange in America, and BlackRock may not be entirely on the up and up? We're just looking at the signs, folks. The signs with Brandon Keys here. The signs. Wrapped Bitcoin, right? We're seeing all of that. I give wrapped Bitcoin a big red candle, folks. I don't think that's necessarily in line with the green candle, what we're thinking here. We're looking at BlackRock, the Bitcoin secret deals. Coinbase defending BlackRock CEO, right? Brian Armstrong, are they in the midst with this? They've brushed out the rumors that they're selling paper Bitcoin without showing on-chain proof. Social media users called out Coinbase for the lack of transparency over its BlackRock ETF holding. Justin Sun also called out for Coinbase for its wrapped Bitcoin product. So it's not just Brandon here. We got Baldylocks replying to these rumors. The man, Baldylocks, coming at us saying, hey, trust me, bro. Don't worry about it. We are all good here. We're looking at CBBTC. Yes, you're trusting centralized custodians to store the underlying Bitcoin. We've never claimed otherwise. Look at all the signs that they're pointing out here, folks. We've got Baldylocks literally calling himself, referring to his own nickname. So, hey, man, I appreciate him, going through and talking about that. But we've got, your grandmother here, right? The old, your back hurts, and hey, I want to hold Bitcoin. I hear it's doing really well. What is this crypto thing? Let me go trust my banker at BlackRock. And this could be the biggest rug pull in all of history. But NASDAQ saw that as a failure point. They're saying, hey, we are requiring in-kind redemptions for little old grandma, Aunt Sally over here, who maybe is walking on with a cane, calling their financial advisor, who's saying, hey, we bought some MicroStrategy and Bitcoin for you. We actually did our fiduciary responsibility. That sounds absolutely lunacy. So, maybe you've known 2 or 3 people that have actually had their financial advisor actually suggest Bitcoin, because we're seeing the Bitcoin CEO absolutely plummet Bitcoin here. This might be your last time to buy Bitcoin under 100K, folks, because it's absolutely crashing. These in-kind redemptions, hey, we're seeing a lot of people sell off the ETFs, maybe amidst the rumors, hey, Coinbase has these debt issues. What is their problem here? Why are we seeing this big giant crash here to start February? Or is this just a good buying opportunity? That's what I think, folks. I think that this is the ultimate time to buy Bitcoin. And that's why I have partnered with one of the best places to buy Bitcoin in the United States and Canada. That's the Bitcoin Well, folks. You could go to thebitcoinwell.com/green candle. But the reason I love is not that just that they're a non-custodial solution where you can buy Bitcoin, send it directly to cold storage. You can do all that through the Bitcoin Well. You could even set up direct deposit. But one of the great things about the Bitcoin Well is their over-the-counter service. You can go there by clicking that OTC button, access Bitcoin Well Infinite. They will give you the best white glove service. Are you sick and tired of these big exchanges, like the Coinbases? Can you even trust the Baldylocks there? Can you even trust them? I don't think so. But you can trust the guys at Bitcoin Well who will walk you through these giant purchases and get it sent directly to cold storage. So they'll help you obtain that. You don't have to worry about them custodying it for you because it's strictly non-custodial. It's a great white glove service, and I think that they're the best in the business because we're seeing the debt rumors of Coinbase circular around, right? They are a custodian. They're the people that are going to be potentially holding that Bitcoin for you. They're not the people like Bitcoin Well, where they're saying, hey, we don't even want to hold it for you. We don't even want to take that risk. We want you to experience the true power of Bitcoin, which is holding it in self-custody. So let's review what is going on, because I think this giant breaking news that happened over this past weekend, and we've got 215 of you here. This might be one of the bigger live streams that I've done, so I appreciate you guys all coming in here. So if you guys are new to the show, welcome. But I've been covering the risk of these potential paper Bitcoin attacks here for months, folks. You can even go in and check the receipts we got here. Let's go through here and we can see. So, their paper Bitcoin, pals, bankers, FOMO they've got going on, but they've just predicted a lot of different things. We've got the Coinbase CEO, BlackRock, at Davos, potentially talking about this, but we've been talking a lot about these companies start to come into Bitcoin and the attacks, right? Here's the video I did on the BlackRock video. So that was not the greatest background and everything like that, but hopefully you guys can work with me if you enjoyed that one. But I do think that Coinbase and, this in-kind redemptions that now the NASDAQ is requiring of the BlackRock spot ETFs is absolutely one of the more important things that we're going to see here in Bitcoin, because we haven't really seen too many negative things, especially since President Trump has gotten elected, right? We're seeing SAB 121 repealed. We're seeing now, which is allowing banks to custody Bitcoin. And these are some of the things that we're going to potentially see like move forward. Like, hey, if banks are going to need to require for in-kind redemptions, why won't money managers now be required to do that? And then we've seen the FASB, some of the accounting regulations for these companies to hold Bitcoin on their balance sheet. Will those companies now be required to potentially hold their own Bitcoin in the near future, or have some sort of custodian that will require them to have in-kind redemptions? I think that these things are all adding up for a very positive future for Bitcoin, where everybody is going to see the power of being your own bank and not have to trust any sort of custodian, because these counterparty risks, the debt rumors, when there's smoke, there's fire in a lot of these different, or in a lot of industries, but especially in the crypto industry. And I hate using that word, so I'll say in the Bitcoin industry as well, because we've seen what's happened when these paper issuance happen, right? So let's see what we've got here. Has anyone looked? Okay, so we've got some more people in the chat, so welcome. Currently, Coinbase put a 7-day hold on my BTC purchases, meaning I can't move them off an exchange until that time lapses. This is why I partnered with the Bitcoin Well, folks. I know you're in UK, so I apologize. Unfortunately, I don't think the Bitcoin Well can help you. But if you're in the US or in Canada, you should go to the bitcoinwell.com/green candle. And you won't have to worry about getting access to your own funds. How crazy is that, folks? That we have a guy in the chat, he can't even access his own Bitcoin. Now, Curious Bitcoin, has anyone looked into the Bitcoin Spaces protocol and naming on Bitcoin? I'm not quite sure what you mean by Spaces protocol here. So it is very interesting. I don't know. I mean, I'm a Bitcoin only guy here. So it is something that to me personally, I think it just should be Bitcoin and Bitcoin only. First Loved Us said, I want to stack Bitcoin, but my teacher's paycheck isn't helping me. Hey, well, if you go to the Bitcoin Well, you can set up your direct deposit. You can even put just 1-2% of your paycheck into Bitcoin. It'll add up over time. And I think that you will really want to, yeah, do something like that. I mean, I didn't make a ton of money when I first started working as well. And I actually will have a video coming out on that and how saving in Bitcoin really helped me get to the point I am at. So if there's a will, there's a way, folks. But Center Lab said he paid using PayPal. So that could be the issue there. But I think it's Bitcoin. Okay, so Curious Bitcoin saying it's Bitcoin only. Check it out. The Spaces protocol. Curious of your thoughts. Okay, maybe I'll do another video on that here later. But Down Under Blues, you guys are helping out in the chat as we've got it very active here. So I appreciate you guys helping him out. But he's saying that the funds need to settle. Seems it depends on your time you initiated the transaction. So hopefully, my man, Center Labs, you get your Bitcoin here soon. And that's why I encourage self-custody, because there is some potential issues with all of these things. So, you know, we've seen the debt rumors. We've seen these ETFs see massive amounts of inflows coming. We've seen the craziness of the wrapped Bitcoin, where I'm saying that's wrapped Bitcoin is a big red candle there. And we're seeing a tiny, tiny green candle for all of my candles in the chat. Why don't you guys start spamming that? Maybe we should start doing that. We should have you guys start spamming with some green candles in the chat. Put the little green emojis if you can, and the little candle emojis in there, because yeah, if you guys think that those are positive, maybe we can start doing that, because I think that would be absolutely electric, especially as we're seeing Bitcoin start to rise up here. Hopefully we'll be back over 100K and we'll never see under 100K ever again. But I mean, as we all know in the chat here, that would be absolutely massive for the for stacking opportunity. So as you guys in the chat all know, my man All Night Hider always says, smoke the like Cheech and Chong, smash the subscribe button, tell a friend to tell a friend, and thank you guys all 250 of you for joining here on YouTube and X for this early week breaking news on this NASDAQ news, because I think it's absolutely awesome. So yeah, spam those chats with those candle emojis. So I'll see you guys all at the next one.